Of course it is just ladder, so 1 versus 1, no need to really go through the teams that much, just basically introduce the combatants as they are. And up here in the blue corner, it is Quagar. Quagar has gone UEF, been assigned the blue colour as we mentioned, and Quagars I seem to remember from Red Dwarf, brilliant little series, and Quagars were in actuality rotting chicken. But anyway, Quagar's not a chicken, he is here playing Faf in 1 versus 1, that's as brave as you get, and his opponent today down in the red corner, it is Zasnoba. And I know I've cast that guy before because I remember sitting here thinking I like that name, Zasnoba. As you can see though, their starting positions have no hydros available, so they are incorporating pigeons into their initial build. You see Zasnoba's gone mix and 2 pigeon after the factory, while down here it is the other way for Quagar. He has actually gone 2 pigeon, then mass extractors. So bit of a hum and ha, which way is more efficient. However, there is a reclaim just nearby they can look at grabbing if they want to boost that early initial eco just to help out. But no, it looks like it is 2 pigeons and then into all the mass extractors. He has 1 engine down here grabbing that mix, and his commander has moved within range of all 3 mixes this way, and that looks like a bit of early harassment. That is a striker and a snoop out, and they're going to be on their way most likely down here, perhaps going to try and sneak around the back right to the hydro back here, which is not yet planned. In fact, that is Zasnoba. He's throwing an engineer back here to grab some of this mass reclaim, and some trees as well for some extra energy, so he'll be looking to just boost his early eco with that NG doing there, and this one is going for the hydro. Okay, this way maybe these guys are actually being protective. They are moving on up just to clear out units, while this engineer is getting all the manual reclaim on the giant rocks to be had. Actually, not rocks, ice. There's 13,500 reclaim of marked reclaim. Of course, all these little tiny rocks here are not marked, but they are reclaim. And it's from all these little ice spots. They are definitely well worth grabbing, nice big clumps up, and they will have a grand old time there. And you see defending strike going on out left, right and centre. So Quagar is concerned about getting raided. He is sending some strikers out in different directions to protect his expanding NGs, which is often a good idea if you are not sure how your opponent's going to act. It's better to have them there and not need them than need them and not have them there, if that makes sense. As it is, he will protect his expanding engineers. They're going to be able to pick up a good amount of this early reclaim in the middle. Having said that, he's already got an engineer up here doing the thing that's on a patrol route. That's just going to grab what it needs as it floats around. And off we go. Right, still just sticking with the land factories for Quagar. His third factory is another land one. Perhaps we'll see air planned out. Checking out down here, and land factory for Zasnoba as well, but he has started on an air factory over this way. He has plenty of power at the moment to run them. Abandoned a land factory build down there in favour of getting these up here. Maybe he'll resume production on that one in a second. There we go. So it is 2 land factories, 1 air factory and a third land factory going down for Zasnoba. We double check over here and no air factory started yet for Quagar. He does have those 3 land factories and they're popping out units higgity-piggity, but there we go, there's a air factory planned for Quagar. I'm having a good time tonight. This is land, this is air. Sort it out, brain. You know how this works. You absolutely do. Anyway, the air factory has started. My god, I just told myself to stop that. But here we go. So those harassing units we mentioned going all the way around the back here, they might pick up this engineer depending on how close they go. We do have some defending units planned out of this factory. If these guys carry on and do not stop, they could get up here and kill off this engineer. It very much depends on just where this goes. Wow. You can see the snooper stopped because the striker is set to move. And the scout was assisting, but now along comes the mantis, and who has the micro? Who's paying attention? Well, the answer is actually Quagar. Actually, they're both looking at the micro now. Both of them are twisting, dodging, trying to get their angles going on. The snoop goes down, so that is the end of these. But that's a reclaim order on the striker, who stops a little bit too close to the engineer and actually does not succeed in the kill. Just needed to move a little bit further away, get out of the reclaim range, and could have killed off the engineer for free. And that is unfortunately an unsuccessful raid on that front. drops planned here to transport out from Zasnova. This one is full of engineers, and the question is, he going to counter drop up this way, or is he going to just grab the plateau behind himself? Who knows? But down here, this engineer has managed to grab a whole bunch of the reclaim. Pretty much all of that is gone over there, and now we see a wee bit of a raid heading this way. They have a band of units from Zasnova. There's a few scouts in there and a handful of Mantis, and they're going to have a grand old time coming up this way, and they're going to be able to catch this poor little fella out. He's got no defenses whatsoever. There is a T1 bomber loitering in the area though. That could be useful, or it could be sent over this way, maybe to try and kill these engineers which are about to drop. I do hear another bomber. There it is. So there's a attacking bomber down here. Maybe it's going for this engineer. That would be an interesting choice, though it's going to want to try and keep its distance from the anti-air turret that's going up. Another striker has snuck on past, actually, unnoticed perhaps, but it's going out the back here, and it may very well kill that engineer. Have a grand old time. So there we go, this group of units, they have arrived. This engineer survives for now. The engineers up here, well, they did arrive, and they are looking at building some mixes right at this instance. The T1 bombers are coming over. Perhaps they can get there in time. All they need to do is kill the Engies, and that will help with that. But they've been picked up by a couple of interceptors have turned up, and that is going to slow that down. So very much a left versus right plan for this battle at the moment. We see Zasnova's grabbed this side of the map, and Quagar is holding this side for now. Often it turns into a top versus bottom along this kind of angle here. You've got a natural pass that can be turned into a bit of a choke, and that's all good. And indeed, this striker has killed off the engineer, so the air factory does not get completed, and it is slowly, very slowly killing off that power plant. We shall see if the Hydra dies or not a little bit later. There we go, T1 bomber coming up this way, and I'd say focus the Engies. You get rid of the Engies, they can't rebuild, and then you can kill things at your leisure. Another engineer down here about to die. Bombs away, one engineer goes down. Yes indeed, there's one engineer left, but I don't think it's going to succeed because a couple of interceptors have turned up, and that is going to be the end of that T1 bomber. Another drop inbound. This time it is combat units. That's a bunch of Mantis on this one, and it has got free reign to go wherever it wants to because there's no air. That's point out from Quagar, but he's got no interceptors of his own, no scouts. He's got no idea that this drop is coming. Oh, he does maybe. That just blipped up on his radar for a moment. Just for a moment, but he's got no radar in his base, so he doesn't actually see it happening there. And maybe he's using these in response, but those units are going to drop down, and these mass extractors, they are going to die. Got a transport of his own full of combat units. Question is, where is he going to send those? It's a very good question. But it's looking like Quagar has a decent chunk of the map control of his own. Has a solid band of units just here. They are wandering on over, and they could romp through these guys, way more numerous, and they were split into two groups. And indeed, this tank over here did kill the Hydro. Nothing stopped it, nothing came to slow it down, and it just finished that off. And now it's going to kill the factory excessively slowly. Right up this way, these guys have moved down. They've killed an engineer of their own, and they're working on taking out this Hydro as well. So raiding left, right and centre from Quagar has slowed things down, but down this way, this is ill-advised. A couple of strikers run into a larger group of Mantis, and the Mantis survived, killed the strikers, and now can work on that kill there. So raiding either side of the map, they're both going against each other. And leaving behind a few Lobos and a single striker to deal with this group who have actually moved away, and the Hydro behind Quagar's base is under threat. Just like the Hydro over here was taken out by a single striker, over this way is a problem. We see another drop coming on over. In fact, it's going to dump itself right down here, maybe ill-advised, right in front of a large group of strikers. And indeed, poor single Mantis focuses on the engineer first, but isn't going to succeed. It survives and is going to start grabbing some of that reclaim. Another drop here just to harass that extractor, and it's probably going to die. That Mantis is going to get down and have a grand old day. Okay, that striker up this direction has finally kicked the bucket, or it will very shortly because there is a bomber overhead. There are 3 more strikers. They're all very damaged though, but they're coming down this way, and they might be able to tickle off a mix just before they die from T1 bomber destruction. We shall have to see. There they go, they've gotten in range, and that mass extractor has taken a good amount of damage. It is going to die, and these guys are going to do I don't know what next. Very damaged. That bomb's going to circle around and kill them off, so probably not a heck of a lot more achieved. Bit of damage to the factory, but those bombs are nicely spread out and kill all 3 damaged units at once. Okay, up this way, and I feel like this could be missing a bit of a trick. Still an engineer up the plateau. If you built a factory, you could get more engineers out, grab all this reclaim across the top here, maybe even roll out a few Medusas to be popping up here to drop down some arty should these get rebuilt. But anyway, gun upgrade is almost, well, it's been paused for Zasnova, so he wants to get a combat comm on the way. We see there's a couple of engineers right beside each other over here. They're saying hello to each other. The question is, who is going to notice first that there's an opponent there? Well, it looks like Zasnova is, because he has captured that mass extractor, made it the zone, and now he is going to do something else. Maybe he's going to capture this. Indeedy, so now he's capturing the anti-air. So Rhaegar has not noticed. His attention is absolutely elsewhere. I'm kind of surprised. This is really a very frontal spot. He's trying to get up a T1 PD, but that's not going to work, and he's about to lose the AA to this capture command. Not. And this engineer, this heavily damaged engineer, is now moving over this way. It looks like it's going to come here, and could it even reclaim this guy? The reclaim starts, but the counter reclaim is completed and no dice there. You might also go capture the stuff back, mate. Last too much longer. Okay, we have some units marauding around here from Zasnova up on the left hand side. There is a counter group ready to go, but does Rhaegar have the radar? No, he doesn't. So he has this one radar here to get an eye on anything that comes this way, but he's missing radar down this way. Saw the units briefly show up. He's getting T2 on his comm. Interesting configuration. Chucking some T1 storage surrounded by energy storage. That is just drool worthy for T1 bombs to come over and have a go. A couple of bombs and those will explode, and so will the PGs most likely, just from the resulting chain reaction. But having a look at the eco side of things, still looking pretty close. Maybe Rhaegar is a tiny bit ahead. He does have some T2 mixes in his base. He's got a couple there, and actually he's got 3 there. And this group has been spotted by a striker. I think they're going to be found out very shortly. But Rhaegar is yet to rebuild the mixes up this way. Feels like maybe they're a bit too contested, and that looked like it was a drop attempt, but it has been shot down but not reclaimed. That might have been that transport full of tanks we saw a long time ago. Guessing it got picked up by a couple of these interceptors. But this is very much a game on the ground, and we see more units. They have spawned into the back of Zasnova's base again. There seems to be a constant channel for me sending units down this right hand side. They are getting in and doing damage. You can see there's been another pigeon picked off, and now we have the spread out pigeon pattern, so not beside each other. That's an easy way to do it. And over here we can see more units rocking on back. They have run into Zasnova's commander, and that's going to be a bad time for them trying to stop that. Back here, that's energy storage, so Zasnova's wanted to get that overcharge capability, but all these pigeons are threatened from tanks and lobos. The lobos, of course, the main threat. They can do most of the damage, and the lobos going to try and shoot the pigeons, or they're going to try and shoot the commander. What they need to go for is that T2 HQ, so Zasnova very able to chuck T2 units on the ground. We do have T2 already for Rhaegar. That is a mobile flak. And this is a lot of scouts. So at first glimpse this looks like a fairly dangerous force, but there are 25 scouts. Like 1 scout to every 2 mantis kind of thing. And that's, well, it's not that great. They have plenty of radar coverage, but that's not going to help when you run into things like point defense or more tanks than you can handle, though they should be able to handle this little group. Shouldn't have any issues. Couple of band of people about to have a go at each other here, but the advantage is going to lie with Rhaegar. He's got the T2 units coming in as well. He's got the flak, of course, no anti-ground attempt, but being supported by a pillar and more strikers, that should be fine. Excuse me, we would back up there. And has the run by worked? These units have managed to split off, and a couple of strikers making it down this way. A few making it off this way, and only being chased by a single mantis, which kills one striker, then moves away. Is that an actual move order? Oh, yes, it's an attack move over there. So that is why that broke off. It decided to go a different direction. Okay, back in the base, still just a single T2 factory not being upgraded there for Quagar. Stick with the T2 at the moment. Do we have, well, the only T2 factory I saw, there we go. So that is Zasnova popping out some news there. That is a stealth generator, and getting some T2 P-Gen. Definitely wants to get itself some more power, especially as he has that Rambo com, which is wanting to charge its life. Ends on it because it probably does. That striker runs into problems. These strikers and Lobo run into problems over this way. So might be able to get away from there, and a single Lobo shell finally lands on down. Kills a Mantis outright. Or the Elf Bella. Right, these two strikers got past, and I think they've killed off this Hydro yet again. Or it was maybe never rebuilt. Either way, they did make their way up here, and there's now nothing sitting there. Alright, finally, Quagar has dropped up here and has turned this all into blue. And another engineer being popped up here to grab that mass extractor, so he's doing alright for himself. Got a bit of a point defense up here to stop any raiding. Just that one little auto turret will do the job. But down this way we can see the commander for Zasnova, stealth and gun. Means he will be able to see the things he wants to shoot at. Maybe? It's good to get in visual range though, because he has no radar, which is kind of helps. These point defense, which then decide they don't like the one he started to build, and now he can actually see them as standard range, right at the tippy tip of his range, and kill those off. Alright, easy win for Zasnova down there. Can't shoot what you can't see. And well, stealth hides from radar, so he could not be seen to be shot back at. Down here though, have a roving band, a few strikers, and a pillar just knocking things out. Killed off that mix, killed off the Hydro, killed off the next mix. And they could say hello to this poor little engineer. Just got to be careful of the auto gun here. Good that, and maybe skirting in that direction is the wrong idea. They're going to run straight into a very hostile band of Mantis. A lot of them are damaged. They can get some work done, but it's just far too many. And really wanted to keep the pillar at distance to utilize its fire effectively. Over this way we can see Quagar is actually popping down a flag at this point, so he's worried about air coming through this way rather than land. Well, it's an interesting choice. He's distracted slightly. He has dropped an engineer up here to rebuild these mass extractors, but hasn't given the command. So maybe he is thinking about over this way, where there is a couple of pillars and a bunch of strikers ready to wreak some havoc upon Zasnova's base again, and Zasnova has to respond again with units, and he will clear this out, but it's just the whole, he has to drop back, he has to pull his units, defend yet again. And these guys are once again scouting out the Hydro, which has not been rebuilt, and this pillar might actually get away. Yes, indeed it does. It's going to be fine. How's its shot to visual range? Well, not terrible, but a tiny bit of advantage if it had radar. Now we're looking where we have another large force of T2 coming down this way. So Quagar is very much into the T2 stage. He is rolling out pillars all over the place, and pillars don't do bad against T1 PD, especially because they have an arcing fire and can shoot over the walls and kill it while taking much less damage than if they had to try to shoot through the walls. That's a serious little band of pillars there. There's just get those 16 pillars. A couple of strikers thrown in for fun, but mostly pillars, and that is actually a dangerous little band of units. Over here we can see there's going to be some NG slaughters. Will they finish off the point defense? No, they won't. And that is going to be a bad time for them. These guys can keep on moving down. They will be able to kill off any individual unit that rolls off here. And first things first, kill the Medusa, kill the mix, and then kill the factory. Or maybe kill this mix, then kill that mix, but please loiter around long enough to kill that. Yes, they do. Focusing now on the factory, which is the wrong choice. Really want to kill off the mass extractor first, get rid of the eco, then get rid of the factory. Anti-air turret gets spotted, and here we go. This is T2 versus T1, and while that kind of swarming number of T1 units could actually deal a lot of damage, and there is some T2. We see this is a Rhino out from Zasnova, so some of the T1's been snuck about and killing the radar. with a single tier 1 bomber. Very useful, especially when there's rocket bots, because rocket bots are heavily large and being able to see radar to shoot further than what they can see. Although other units scouting are also very handy. Alright, this band of units down here, they've done exactly what they should do. Loitered around, cleaned up the 2 mass extractors and the factory, so some effective raiding going on there from Quagar, and he's now very much ahead in the eco game. Almost 20 mass per tick, and that is looking pretty handy for him. A few pillars still back down here, gradually clawing their way through all this T1 power. But over here we can see the rocket bots have been caught out, and one of them goes down. Still one alive, but this band of pillars here looking very nasty indeed. These 3 pillars have managed to distract the rest of the ground units at the base. Good evening, old geezer. And this is not looking great for Zasnova in his main base. If these guys can get some work done, in fact we see they've knocked out a mix there. Was that T2? That was a T2 mix. That's quite a bit of a loss. Now there is a Cerberus turret, has been completed by some T2 NGs. That is going to help out immensely. But to overcome some T1 bombers, just throw down some extra pain on there. And it's just all surrounding. Checking out what's going on elsewhere. This band, oh my gosh, they have just been routing everywhere. And now they've got a T2 mix in their sights here as well. If they focus down there, they could finish it off. But instead, they decide to try and take out, or maybe the Rhino actually. That would be the wrong choice. They really want to try and finish off anything else. Looks like they're focusing the anti-air, as they're going to try and send a T1 bomber overhead perhaps. Maybe they are, but this T1 bomber is currently harassing the base of Zasnova, the main base. They're trying to take out this T2 mass extractor. I feel like they'd be better, more effective to kill off these T2 engineers, get rid of that build power. And then a bit more. But this is looking, hello, we have Zasnova pushing up on the left. Good morning, afternoon, evening, Husky. How are we doing today? Nice to see you loitering around. And Zasnova's comm up here is a bit of a danger. Gun stealth comm, so of course does not show up on radar. Trickles of units being sent in are dying. If I was Quagar, I would be reinforcing this position with a few more T2 PD. You need a good chunk of T2 point defense to stop a gun comm. But over here, once again, Quagar's base under attack. However, going to be much less damaging this time because there are now Cerberus turrets and a couple of T1 PD around. So it's time for these guys to stop doing that and head somewhere else, like this. This isn't an awful idea, not quite enough pillars to kill a stealth gun comm, especially when they come in one by one, and of course he does have overcharge. Very much morning for you. Very good morning for you, indeedy. And it looks like Quagar is trying to do a bit of a PD creep. He's walking forward with his commander. He's moving up with pillars. Skill? It was a buzzkill, so he was up there earlier and he's fallen back. And now these pillars are wandering on past, getting some good damage down as Zasnova's comm, but I think they're just planning on trying to run on by as much as they can. So the base is no longer as feasible to raid because of the Cerberus turret and T1 PD. So he's going to ignore that for now. He's sending his units this way instead, and there's not much down here to stop them. Virtually nothing on the ground. Some units are coming out of this factory here, but this pillars are coming through. They can start slaughtering engineers if they so wish. Maybe they could finish off or stop a T2 gen from being constructed, but they have moved in the wrong direction towards 4 additional T2 factories. So the HQ is there and an additional 5 T2 factories. It looks like all the build power for Zasnova is over in this corner. Base over here. Alright, what is Quagar doing? Well, he's slowly moving forward with his comm. He has a good band of T2 with him, but that is a gun comm, and he also has a band of T2 rolling around with him. And he's got stealth, so Quagar with... well, he should be able to see what he's walking into. What? Where is he going? He's walking straight towards a gun comm. He should not be doing that, and he really needs to get a lot more PD down. Now, for some reason, he cancels this one. I don't understand what he's doing. If I was him, I'd be stepping down a bunch of PD and getting some T1 scouts out. He knows he's dealing with a gun comm, and he should know he's dealing with a stealth gun comm. Just moving his commander up. Well, he started the point defense, and he's left some T1 engineers to build it. This is not a gun commander. I'm not sure you should be doing that. Bunch of pillars over here. They're getting slowly killed on down by the gun comm from Zasnova. And Quagar's comm is just sort of standing around doing nothing. And now he's been picked up. It looks like he's wanting to go in for the kill, but that's not a gun comm, of course. So he wants to be careful. In fact, that's a better idea, to throw up some trads for the extra damage. Pillars are rolling in. If they can surround Zasnova's commander, they will start doing some good amounts of damage. They are T2. And Guncom, no, he's still going to worry about this larger amount of T2 units. And Zasnova pulling his units over this way for some reason. He's falling back. Okay, he was wanting to get some damage output done by his commander before moving in. And Quagar, now walking up with his commander, wanting to step down a T2 PD here. But his pillars are now stuck between a rock and hard place, or in particular a giant army of rhinos here and a Guncom on the left hand side. And those pillars are just waltzing in, and they are getting obliterated. There's not a heck of a lot of them left compared to how many were coming in, and now the army is moving up from Zasnova, and Quagar wants to think about walking in the away direction. He can maybe focus down the commander. No, he hasn't got enough pillars left. But Quagar needs to move, not stop. He needs to move and not stop moving. He has got a massive army chasing him now. He has a Guncom chasing him as well. And keep running is going to be the motto for him, I would say. Don't stop, just keep going. He's got some reinforcements coming, a few pillars, but not enough at this stage. And he has stopped and he's walking forwards. Does he have any idea what he's facing, what he does? He knows there's a whole swarm of units here, and he knows there's a Guncom around, or at least I hope he does know there's a Guncom around. He's been shot by it enough, and he's had his pillars up close to it enough, and yet he's still keeping his commander nearby. Drop back, build some more PD, let this one buy you some time. Indeed, oh dear, he needs to move and just not stop moving. Keep walking there, buddy. You are absolutely surrounded. If this commander gets in range, you are going to have a terrible time because of the amount of damage output Zasnova has, and oh no. No, never stop. Don't stop. And now he's got problems. Now he's got major problems. He has been surrounded. Many rhinos doing extra damage, down to 6,000 health. Guncom on 10,000, very healthy looking Zasnova, despite bringing the yellow down into the red as Quagar, and he's going to have himself a terrible time. He needed to evacuate a long time ago, but he is going down. Oh dear, Quagar.